Good afternoon. I am Bülbül Hacıyeva. I am an English teacher. I work at Hacıyeva State University and I teach English. Today I am going to speak to you about passive voice. You know that there are two voices in English, active voice and the passive voice. I think you have enough information about what is active voice. And today I am going to speak to you about passive voice, about its formation, how is it used, how do we change active voice into passive voice. What is passive voice exactly? Passive voice is a grammatical construction in which the subject of sentence is acted upon by the verb rather than performing the action. In passive voice, the focus is on the action of the recipient of the action rather than on who or what is performing the action. If we speak about the structure of the passive voice, we have to tell that in passive voice, structure always in this way. Subject plus form of to be. By the way, to be changes according to all person and the tenses. And plus past participle. Sometimes we use by plus agent, sometimes we don't use. I want to give an example of passive voice. For example, the book was read by the student. How to fix the passive voice? It is a very interesting question. The passive voice shows that the subject is receiving the verb's action rather than performing it. It often uses a form of to be plus the past participle of the verb, and the use of passive voice is not grammatically incorrect. But we must know how to use it appropriately is important for clear writing, however. In English, most sentences follow subject, verb plus object. It is word order in active sentences. And in active sentences, subject is equal the main focus of the sentence. Verb, it is the action, the thing that's happening. But object, the thing or person that the action is happening to. When we use passive voice or passive sentences in the passive voice, it means that we have to use passive voice only in these cases. First, when you are preparing a report and the subject is not known, like, my pen was stolen yesterday. In this sentence, it is unknown who stole my pen yesterday. And the second sentence, when you are writing a scientific paper, in scientific papers, mostly passive voice is used. When the emphasis on the action and the subject is irrelevant. Passive voice sometimes is avoided. When we avoid to use passive voice, in these cases, for example, when the subject is important to mention, when you need to write a message, clear message, when you need to highlight the action of the verb, fix passive voice sentences and we convert them into active sentences. We know that there are main 8 tenses in the English language. They are present simple, past simple, present perfect, past perfect, present continuous, past continuous, future tense, and the future in the past. All of these active voices have their appropriate passive voices. In present simple tense, we use to be plus am, is, are for present tense. And when we convert the sentence into passive voice or into passive sentences, we use in this form. For example, if I say, I make a box, it is active sentence. In the passive sentence, it will be in this way. The car is made by me. In this sentence, by me, we sometimes can use and sometimes we can omit. Or Mahir is talking. In this sentence, we know who is talking. If we turn the sentence into passive voice, we should say, Mahir, Elita is being writing. In past simple, we use forms of to be, was, were, plus verb 3 or participle 2. For example, the Macbeth was written by William Shakespeare. It is passive sentence. In active sentence, it will be William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth. In past continuous, they are watching present continuous tense. If we say a sentence, they are watching TV. In passive construction, it will be in this way. The TV was being watched by them. Or in present perfect tense, we know that for active form it is have plus verb 3. But in passive construction, it is have, has been verb 3 or past participle. I have cleaned my room. In the passive voice, it will be my room has been cleaned. For past perfect tense, for example, we say, if we say, I had finished my work by that time yesterday, in the past perfect passive voice, it will be the work had been finished by me by that time yesterday. Or in future tense, I will say, I will write you a letter. In passive voice, it will be in this way. A letter will be written by me to you. And in future past, it will be, I would write you a letter. In the passive voice, it will be in this way. A letter would be written by me. And there is a second way of expressing future tense. It is to be, going to, or exactly am, is, are going to. I am going to deliver a speech. In passive voice, it will be in this way. A speech will be delivered by me. We can use passive voice with all the tenses of active voice, except what tenses are in continuous. For example, present perfect continuous tense form, past perfect continuous tense form, future perfect continuous tense forms. We can use passive voice with most tenses. And to change the tense of passive sentence, we have to use the verb of the form of the verb to be. The main verb in the passive say is always in the past participle form. For example, if we say a bank was robbed by a robber yesterday, it means that we don't know who robbed the bank. Or I have been told that you insulted my brother. Here in the sentence, it is unknown who told me that you have insulted my brother. Or I am cooking a meal. It means that a meal is being cooked by me. Or someone will walk her dog, or her dog will be walked in this way. Passive, the sentence, if you remember, we told that we can convert active sentences, active tenses into passive sentences or passive voices. But there are some cases that we cannot convert them. Just now I told, and I am going to repeat once more. Present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous. Future continuous tense sentences having transitive verb never can change into passive form. At each concert, for example, the soprano sang at least one tune from a well-known opera. Here, doer of action is the soprano, and the sang is action. Tune, receiver of the action. But in passive sentences, or in the sentences with the passive construction, it is vice versa. For example, at each concert, at least one tune from a well-known opera was sung by soprano. Generally, all type of sentences can be changed, can be converted into passive voice. And the only reason for this is that such a sentence has no object. But there are some reasons that, there are some cases that active sentences cannot be converted, cannot be changed into passive construction. What sentences are they? They are the following sentence. For example, the first, if there is no object, we cannot convert the sentence into passive form. For example, I read. I cannot change it into passive because here we don't have any objects. That's why it is impossible that it can be changed into passive voice. There we must have object. Or the second case is the sentences with intransitive verbs cannot be changed into passive structure. And the third way is if it deals with the general truth. For example, when summer comes, it is often hot. In this case, we can never convert them into passive voice. Or, for example, it happened on a cold January day. This sentence also cannot be changed, cannot be converted into a passive voice because there are some verbs to happen or to occur. They cannot be changed into passive voice. Or sentences with there is zero construction never change into passive voice. Now I am going to give some examples. My friend does not watch Big Boss. Here we can change because Big Boss, here it is object and there we can change. But in the second sentence, he is sleeping, we cannot change them into passive voice. Or she went me an email, the passive voice will be in this way, in two ways. Either I was sent email or an email was sent to me. Except personal passive sentences, there is impersonal passive sentences, and I think it is a bit complicated. That's why we have to be a bit careful. The impersonal passive has two forms. It can be either it plus be participle or subject plus verb. It is estimated that millions of people visit the site every year. It is the first one, it plus be plus past participle. It is, and the second is millions of people are believed to visit the site every year. Impersonal sentences in passive voice are constructions where the subject is not specified and the focus is on the action or the event rather than on who is performing. In English, this often involves using passive voice with an indefinite subject or using phrases like it is said that or there is. And it is said, it is also used in our media language too. And now I want you to look at the examples. It is believed that, for example, she is 20. If we change it into the second impersonal passive, we can say she is believed to be 20, or they are expected to come at noon, or the strike is expected to an end. And when we speak about, again, impersonal and personal passive sentences, we say express them in this way. Why impersonal and personal passive sentences are used? Because they are used because they don't sound as weak as they. People say to report generalized opinion. For example, active or passive voice. They say today's youth are lazy. It is active voice. They say we know what is the subject of the sentence or who say. They say. But in impersonal sentence, passive voice, we say it is said that today's youth are lazy. But in personal passive voice, we say today's youth are said to be lazy. Passive structures are often used in news reports. They are used to express thoughts, beliefs, considerations, expectations, and suppositions. What we want to express is made clear by the words we use: thought, said, believed, considered, reported, understood, and so on. And we know that except active and the passive voice, there is also one more voice. It is called causative voice. And causative voice resembles to passive voice. But what is the difference between them? Now I am going to speak about it. Like the passive voice, the subject in center with a causative verb is not performing the main action. Rather, the subject is causing someone else to perform the main action. For example, she made the stylist cut her hair. Here we say she, then verb made, then object, then participle to, then object. She made the stylist cut her hair. It means that she hasn't cut her hair by herself. She made the stylist cut her hair. In the passive sentence, the subject receives an action. But in causative sentences, causative verb identifies the cause of an event or an action. A causative verb shows the reason that something happened. It does not indicate that subject did for themselves, but something the subject got someone else or something else to do for them. For example, I have cut my hair. It means that I have cut my hair by myself. No one did it for me. But if I say I made the hairdresser cut my hair, in this sentence I want to say that I haven't cut my hair by myself. Hairdresser did it for me. I want to remind you causative verbs. They are let, allow, permit, make, force, require, have, get, and help. The passive causative combines causative verbs and the passive voice. She made him to do it. The problem got solved, or I got my hair cut. A causative verb is used to indicate that some person or thing makes or helps to make something something. For example, again I want to remind you, subject plus be, get, plus past participle, but in causative it is in this way: subject plus have, late, make, plus object plus base verb. Passive causative sentences is the word order in this way: subject, have, get, plus object, plus past participle. Let's look some examples. In active sentences, somebody causes someone to do something, or somebody makes someone to do something. For example, Caroline has Mary do her hair every morning. Here it means that not Caroline does her hair every morning, but he makes Mary do her hair every morning. But in passive constructions, somebody causes something to be done. In the sentence, like in the sentence, Caroline has her hair done by Mary every evening. Here, have or get plus object plus participle, then doer of the action in the sentence is Mary. The passive causative is used to refer to a professional service. Second, to emphasize the action or result over the doer. And in the third case, when the doer is unknown. And there is one more case, and it is called stative passive. They cannot be used in passive constructions, but sometimes they are used. For example, in this sentence, to be interested in, if I use to be interested in this sentence, it will be not passive construction. I am interested in art. I cannot convert the sentence into passive voice. I cannot say that art is interested by me. But if I say you get surprised me, sometimes they can be used in passive sentences, and they are called stative passive. To be interested in, to be surprised, to be shocked. These verbs, when they are used in the sentences, they are called stative passive. In conclusion, I would like to say that passive voice is when the sentences focuses mainly on the recipient of the action, rather than person doing the action. This means that passive voice is indirect and thus not impactful. When a sentence is written in the active voice, the subject performs the action. The subject is doer of the action, but in passive sentence, the subject receives the action. It is the recipient of the action. In academic writing, it is generally preferred to choose an active verb and pair it with a subject that names the person or saying, doing, or performing the action. When we use passive voice for results, when the actor is not needed, and we use passive voice when we don't use when the subject, we want to avoid the subject. And the third, don't rely on the grammar. Take a look in the video cases to make your choice. Thank you for your attention. That's all from me for about passive